Alright, here we're going to be looking at question 7. We're told to find the first three terms of the sequence. And we're given a sub 4 is equal to 8.4 and r is equal to 4. Okay, so what we're going to do first is find a1. And we're going to use our formula again of a sub n is equal to a1 times r to the n minus 1. Well, we know a sub n is 8.4. We know a1 we don't know, so we're going to solve for it. And then we know r is 4. And we know that this is to the fourth power, or n is 4, and then we'll subtract to get 3. So we have 8.4 is equal to a1. Okay, 4 to the third power. Okay, so 4 to the third power, we're going to get 64. Alright, so we end up with 8.4 is equal to a1 times 64. We're going to divide both sides by 64. Okay, and so what we end up with for our first term is a sub 1 is equal to 0.13125. So that's our first term. Now, what I'm going to do is just multiply that. Alright, let's say a1 is equal to that. Okay, we're just going to basically use the recursor formula. So I want the first three terms. So that's the first one. We found it. So I'm going to take that number and multiply it times 4, because that's our r. So if we take 4 and multiply it times the 1.3125, we get 525. Okay, and then I'm going to do it again. I'm going to multiply that number by 4, which is our common ratio, and we get 2.1. Okay, and so that's our first three terms. Now, if I multiply 2.1 times 4, we get the 8.4. Okay, so that's our first three terms in this sequence. Okay, now let's go back and look at question 8. Now, question 8 has fractions in it, but it's okay. We can work through it. All right, so now let's look at this. We have the sixth term is 1/32, and the r is 1/12, and we're finding the first three terms in this sequence like we did before. Now, in this particular problem, I'm going to go to a different page just so that I have more room to write it out. Now, we are given, in this particular problem, we're given r as 1/2. Okay, and we're given a6 is equal to 1/32. Okay, and we're asked to find the first three terms. So let's go ahead and find the first term. Now we'll do that by saying a sub n is equal to a1 to the r times the n minus 1 power. Okay, from this information we know a sub n. We're going to solve for a sub, no we're not, we have a sub 6. So we'll put 1/32 is equal to a1. Now a1 we don't know, that's what we're solving for. R is 1/2, and that's going to be the n minus 1 power, which is going to be 6 minus 1. So we end up with 1/32 is equal to a1, and then 1/2 to the 5th power. Okay, now I'm going to take 1/2 to the 5th power. When I do that, 1 goes to the 5th power, so I end up, 1's just going to be 1, so we end up with 1. Now I do 2 to the 5th power, which is going to give me 32. So I end up with 1/32 here. Okay, now we're going to divide both sides by the 1/32. Okay, so I end up with this. Now I'm going to go over here and do this. This is what we have. 1/32 divided by 1/32 is equal to a1. We flip and multiply to divide by a fraction. Okay, so we end up with a1 is equal to 1. So that's our first term. So a sub 1 is equal to 1. Now to come up with our next term, we're going to multiply that times 1/2. So we'll take 1 times 1/2 is equal to 1/2. Now again, that's our a sub 2. Now a sub 3, we'll take the 1/2 and multiply it times 1/2. Okay, so we're going to multiply the top, we get 1, multiply the bottom, we get 4. So we get 1/4 is a sub 3. Okay, so just to clean this up a little bit, a sub 1 is equal to 1, A2 is 1/2, A3 is 1/4. And then if we did A sub 4, it'd be 1/8, and so on. But that's the first three terms in this particular sequence.